So I interviewed my friend Cash Beisel, and he is the business owner of Ascent Landscaping. He wanted to start this business because he absolutely loves working with his hands and being outside. He grew up working in excavating, and so he has a lot of experience in this sort of thing, and he loves dirt biking, and so he's just very passionate about being outside and about working with his hands. His business is a partnership. Him and his buddy decided to start the business, and they balance each other out really well because his partner deals with more of the finance and accounting side of the business, and he deals with more of the operation and the management. He recognized the business opportunity because Cache County was growing and there was a high demand for landscaping, but there weren't many companies that were able to sufficiently get all the work done. And so they decided to open up their business, and they've had a lot of customers. They were able to find mentors through their family and through their friends. They knew a lot of people who started up businesses, so they're able to get advice from them. And then also one of their biggest mentors is one of their competitors, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. They were able to build their team by finding just 3 other people to work for them. They actually found them in a grocery store once. They overheard them talking about how they knew about landscaping, but how they weren't happy with their current job. And so they just went over to them and offered them a job. They said, "Hey, we're starting up a company in landscaping, and we need you guys to work for us. Do you want to join us?" And so they said, yeah. And that's how they built their team of 5. They were able to find the resources they needed a lot through using what they already had. They already had a few of the tools and equipments, like a trailer and the pickup truck. They did have to use some of their savings for a lot of the startup costs with buying other tools and equipment that they needed. They were able to save money on not renting out a space where they do their paperwork and their finances just in their basement, and then they were able to save on the lot where they keep all of their tools and equipment. They knew a friend who's in that business, and they were able to get him a deal. They were able to find their customers and get their service out into the market a lot of through referrals. So as I had mentioned earlier, one of their biggest competitors that is actually their mentor, they refer a lot of the work that they can't do, that they don't have time for, to them. And so through referrals, and then also just with people coming up to them because they've seen their work and while they're out working, and say, "Hey, I like what you've done, I want you to come do my yard." And so they have been very fortunate and blessed with just a constant flow of continuous work from referrals, and then from people just asking them to do their work because they've seen them. So like I had mentioned, the growth of their business was financed a lot through savings, and then they would dump their money back in from what they had earned into the company. Some of the mistakes that he had mentioned that he made along the way was quoting. So at the beginning, they didn't really know. They didn't have a lot of knowledge of how to price things. And so luckily, he said that a lot of the people they worked with were super awesome, and they didn't have big problems of complaints or whatnot. But along the way, they learned how to better price their jobs. And also they learned what they needed to spend money on and what they didn't need to spend money on. He said that he was able to cut down a lot of his costs by not spending money on equipment and tools that he would never use. So some of the resources critical to building his business, he said, were people that knew what they were doing. He said that the people that worked for them already had background knowledge and experience. And then he said some of the keys to success for his business were honestly having a good client base. That if you don't have customers, people who are willing to buy what you're offering, then his business would have failed in, a short amount of time. And so another key to success that he said was just to be willing to work hard, because starting up a business is hard and it's not going to happen overnight. And so he said that you need to be motivated and you need to be driven. Some of the weaknesses that I found while I was interviewing him was that they didn't pay themselves. I've learned in the class that you need to pay themselves, and he said a lot of the money that they made, they were putting back into the project, or they were paying their laborers and not necessarily themselves as much as they should have been. And then some things that really impressed me and things that I will apply to my life and starting my own business is that some days you're going to feel on top of the world, and other days it's going to be really hard and you're going to want to quit and you're going to think everything is failing and not working out. But he said that go into business with someone that you trust and someone that is going to lift you up when you need it, because it is going to be hard and you're going to need that friend.